What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another Marvel Future Fight video. Alright, so it's time to jump into another uniform review, and we're going to be taking a look at Proxima's uniform today. So, this is her Infinity War uniform. Her uniform bonus is going to enhance the effects of the Demolisher and Relentless Pursuit. So that's going to be her Tier 2 passive and her 4-star passive. Her 4-star passive change, as you can see right here, is now going to decrease the all defense and all speed of the enemies with a 30% chance when attacking. Before it was just a decrease to their speed, so now it is a decrease to defense and speed. And then her Tier 2 passive, instead of just being a 30% chance to pierce, it is now going to be a 50% chance to pierce. If you noticed before, her Tier 2 passive did have some other text with it, saying it adds like lightning effect, increased projectiles, and a stun effect. But two of those are built into the uniform, so you're only really losing one of those effects from your Tier 2 passive, which is going to be the stun effect. So let's go ahead and jump in here to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So, if I remember correctly, the shock effect that her Tier 2 passive was giving her non-uniform or her original state was on her first skill. So let's go ahead and jump into the first skill. So the first skill, and as you can see, the shock is still there with the uniform. It's just built into the actual skill itself, so it's not linked to her Tier 2 passive, so you do not lose the shock damage. So that is nice. And then the other two effects that were with her Tier 2 passive were linked to her third skill. So if we want to look at that, it is the one where she jumps back here and then kind of just throws her spear. And as you can see, the only thing that you're losing is it no longer stuns the enemy. Before, this would stun the enemy. And then the other effect that was given by her Tier 2 passive was it increased the number of projectiles, or I guess the number of times that it bounces around. But I tried her out with and without her uniform, and I was getting the exact same number of hits, so it looks like the projectiles still stayed the same with the uniform, so it just increased it naturally. So you don't really lose much of anything from the Tier 2 passive, only that stun effect right here. But we do have an iframe now, as you can see from the third skill, which is really nice. First skill also has an iframe, so she's getting iframes all day long, which is really nice. And as you can see, there is kind of like a seeking, or I guess they probably just go off in random directions. But there's a lot more, I don't know, control on this skill. I think it's less hits overall, because before she jumped back, it did like 3 waves of projectiles. But this time it does the 1 wave, but then they come back and hit the enemy again. So overall, I do like that. The third skill, I should say, is not an iframe if you are very close. Oh, well, it wasn't before. Or no, it's not iframe if you're far away, excuse me. So there, as you can see, it did not trigger an iframe if I'm all the way back here. But if you are close, it does trigger the iframe for her to jump backwards. It's just really nice because it's kind of a get out of trouble card. So if you see that the enemy is about to do an attack, you can just tap that skill, and then you create a little bit of distance, and you have the iframe. Her second skill, it's really nice. She just jumps back and throws her spear at the ground there, and then you get a few explosions, which is really cool, and it is another iframe, so also very nice. So I definitely like that better than her previous second skill, where she just kind of jumps up and kind of just spears the enemies a few times. Now for the fourth skill, kind of the same animation, except this time you do have a iframe, and she doesn't jump to the side while doing the spear throw, or whatever, I guess, making, I don't know, turning the spear into just lightning. But anyway, overall I really like that, and as you can see, it also now has more projectiles, or the projectiles come back around, so it's going to have more hits than before. So, yep, they just go off, and then they come right back into the center, I guess, where you hit your first target. They will all converge on that spot, which is really nice. And now for the fifth skill, which is kind of the same, except this time it has a jump and an iframe. So she's getting a lot of iframes with this uniform, which is really awesome, because she was a little bit squishy before this, so it was kind of difficult to keep her alive. She did have, of course, good DPS, but keeping her alive was always the issue, and this uniform is really solving that issue, and keeping the DPS as well, and adding DPS, of course, because you have a lot more hits, and it is a lot more even AoE, because her skills kind of spread out now, so you just have that effect going through all of the enemies. So overall, this is a really nice uniform for Proxima here. It fills in the gaps for kind of what she was lacking. So I'm very impressed with this uniform, and I'm definitely going to pick this one up, especially since I like to play Proxima anyway. She's a pretty cool character, and one of the things that I will say is it's going to help out my phone a lot. As you can see right here, boom. No lag when I'm using that 5th skill, and I am on my phone right now, which normally I get a lot of lag when I use Proxima's 5th skill. When I switch to my iPad, I don't get the lag nearly as much, or if at all, but now I can use her effectively on my phone, which is one of the reasons why I wouldn't use her sometimes while farming or doing random world boss clears for fun, because my phone just couldn't handle it. So they kind of fixed that issue right there, which is really cool. And yeah, that's going to be it for this uniform here. I definitely think it is worth the pickup, especially if you have Proxima ranked all the way up, because it does make her a lot well, I guess not tankier. It makes her survivability go through the roof with all those iframes, and then of course she has good movement speed, and she has a few jump backs on her skills. Alright, well that's going to be it for this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.